on the web at WEZL.com. Lady Antebellum and Hello World. They are now the record holder for the most downloaded song digitally in history.
Need You Now?
Past Taylor Swift.
No kidding.
Yep. Need You Now, the most downloaded song in the history of music. Well, of course, it's only been going on since Al Gore invented the internet back in.
That's still a pretty big feat, though.
That's huge.
That is gigantic.
616. Speaking of big feet, ladies and gentlemen, my longtime male companion, Gary Griffin, on that side of the room.
Speaking of gigantic things, a huge record, and if you're a baseball fan, a huge record broken on this day in 1974.
Indeed.
Any idea what it was?
Yes, I do know exactly. I saw it.
Babe Ruth's record, home run record, was broken by Hank Aaron.
That's right.
I saw it.
Man, did you see that? I did too.
Was watching that night, man.
Al Downing threw that pitch, and old Hank cranked it right over the wall, right over the fence. And those two guys jumped over and chased him around the bases.
And boy, did that make Hank mad. I've seen interviews with him since then.
It startled him.
He was not happy at all because he had a ton of death threats going into that game that night.
He did.
People saying, if you break Babe's record, we will kill you. Yeah. They did not want that black man holding that record.
Didn't want it.
And he was terrified. When those people came out over the wall and came at him, and that one guy between second and third base.
Yes. Right.
He said that guy in particular was determined to grab him, and he was afraid.
Well, if that had happened today, somebody would have taken them out.
Yeah, they'd never made it on the
field. They would have never
made it on the
field.
field.
They'd have had snipers all around the top. And speaking of not making it on the field, ladies and gentlemen, our little buddy Rick Rush over on this side of the room. How you doing?
Speaking of records, congratulations to our buddy Mike Mooneyham over at the paper. He's
a professional wrestler now?
He's been inducted into the South Carolina Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
So he's not a wrestler, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
He is.
He knows more about wrestling than just about
anything. He does.
Except for BB All.
Mm-hmm. He and the fabulous Moolah going to be in there.
Is that, we interviewed her one time.
Yes, we did.
In fact, we interviewed Mike Mooneyham one. I mean, we've had them both on the show. What about that?
It's quite impressive. He's being inducted during a ceremony at the Armory in Orangeburg this Saturday.
Well, since we're talking about wrestling, let's just go ahead and introduce the guy that wrestled a bear.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. T.J. Phillips.
I'll never forget it. Speaking of wrestling a bear, I was up at ATP Gun Shop last night, and Marlene is one of the NRA lady instructors up there. Amazing woman. She retired from the post office and then decided she wanted to learn to shoot. 16 months. I mean, I told her.
That's what you want, a postal worker.
Well, no, that's what I told her.
At least after that.
I said, I'm glad you did it in that order.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would have been really uncomfortable with the other way around. She is a colorful human being. That woman can talk, and she can shoot. And she said she'd never touched a gun before in her life till she was, 16 months ago.
Isn't that amazing?
She's an instructor.
And now she just picked it up, was great at it, and now it's her life.
Well, as you know, Darlene made that class last night, and she came home and told me about Marlene and the other ladies there that were helping, and she was just so impressed with us.
Well, I'm going to tell you, they took Darlene from knee knocking to knocking them down.
Let me tell you, she was
in 50 rounds.
Did Darlene tell Marlene that used to be what was on Gary's arm?
No, that was Charlene.
Charlene.
Okay.
It's all them lanes, But old Marlene has been delivering the mail and listening to the Weasel for a long, long time.
That's awesome.
Before she retired. In fact, she came in last night and she goes, I got something I wanted to give to you that I have kept all these years.
Look at that.
Oh, my goodness.
Here,
I haven't seen one of those for
Look at
forever.
That. Arthur Lee for President campaign poster this was when Bobby Kynard was the mayor and was getting ready to end his term. I think Keith Summey was coming up, wasn't he? And was getting ready to run, and Arthur Lee decided he wanted to run for mayor.
Campaign headquarters, Big Fat Herbs.
Yep. If I get elected, Leroy going to be city attorney, paid for by the Pinckney twins and the Queen Bee Barbecue. That's the way it's spelled. Queen Bee Barbecue. And at the bottom, and these are just impossible to find. I could probably sell this on eBay. It's an Arthur Lee, North Charleston Mayor Arthur Lee, dumbfounded we stand bumper sticker that has never been peeled. She said
Look at that.
She was afraid somebody'd steal it, so she taped it to the inside of the back window on her truck.
That's incredible. I can't believe that she had
and
that.
Kept that, and she brought it last night. She goes, here's something for the museum.
That's incredible.
So we'll put that on the wall. But I just had totally forgotten dumbfounded we stand.
Man, we'll add that right in with Gary's blazer and
That's incredible. That'll go in the Weasel Morning Crew Museum.
And,
it really
for
will.
listeners that have no idea who we're talking about, Arthur Lee Dingle was a character.
They used to call a show.
He is a character.
He used to call a show, and then he found the Lord, and he don't mess with us anymore. But other than that, he's
boy, what an impact he had. Arthur Lee Dingle had on
the single most asked question still today. Anytime we go out in public. Whatever happened to Arthur Lee?
Whatever happened?
I get that too, and I wasn't even part of it.
And that was what, 91?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
91, 92, before the Big Fat Herbs burned down.
Yeah.
Of course, Arthur Lee burned it down, but that's a whole different thing.
I miss him. I wish he'd show back up.
Yeah, but anyway, Marlene, thank you for
That's
that.
Awesome.
I thought Gary, you would enjoy that.
That's awesome. I can't believe that.
Dumbfounded we stand. Funny how little things have changed in the last 20 years. We're still dumbfounded, aren't we?
That's right,
621 at WE.